A very good afternoon and welcome to Sweden, and indeed a chilly afternoon. Mike Dixon alongside myself, David Goldstrom, for the classic traditional sprint around the Royal Palace in the heart of the Swedish capital. Well, this is the final chapter of the cross-country season, and it takes us from here in Stockholm later in the week to Falun, where the World Cup circuit will be concluded. They've been racing the sprint around the Royal Palace here since 2000. Not every year, but in 2007 it became an annual fixture in the cross-country calendar, and a very good place to be towards the end of the season, particularly if you're Sweden's Emil Jonsson, for whom this will be skiing on home ground. And there, Stockholm, with all its delights and opportunities and islands off the capital, which come summer or winter are great places to visit. Well, alongside myself, as I said, Mike Dixon. And Mike, as we see the atmosphere here, perhaps just relate to us how this connects with the races in Falun.
Well, that's right, David. This is a mini tour, as it's called, the final. We had it in Kusamo at the start, a 3-day mini tour, and this is our 4-day final. Today's the sprints over to Falun for the prologue. Time trials, 2.5 for women, 3.75 for men. And each day we're getting some bonuses. Today you get 60 seconds for the victory.
Yeah, of course.
Bonus.
I have been ready for a whole season for
Just
that.
to interrupt you, Mike, this is the...
But there will be a long fight today also to get there, but I will do my best.
What will be the winning tactic today?
Maybe we need to think that now when we take in a little recovery, but there is a big wind now, so maybe we have to focus for the last 100-200 meters.
Are you now in a winning shape again here in Stockholm?
Yeah, it feels better now. We have better skis today, so I'm up there in the top, and we'll see how it goes today. But it feels good, but it's really hot out there because the fresh new snow is blowing in by the wind into the track, so it's actually really tough out there, and you don't have so much power left when you come to the finish line.
Is it skate skis or classical skis for the finals?
We will see. We have now skating skis now in the prologue, and we will see how tight we got in the small arms, and we will see how long they will last.
Thank you very much, and good luck for the finals.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, apologies, Mike, but obviously important to get the views there. Ramon and Isabel Vallejo and Emil Jonsson. Just quickly going back to the finale here. So we've got the sprint today that carries 60 bonus seconds. Those are carried over. Then we've got the prologue, haven't we? That comes up on Friday.
Prologue, and then 15, 10 and 5 for the top three. So again, important to get onto the podium in this final stage.
Then classic racing on Saturday.
That's right, that's a mass start. So and again, there's for the women, there's bonus seconds to be hoovered up on the way at one location, 2 for the men, and then 15, 10 and 5 for the top three once again.
So basically you add all those bonus seconds on the way from here, from Friday and Saturday, and effectively that plus your time will actually work out the handicap pursuit charts start list for both the men and the women on Sunday, which will decide. And then there's that 200-point bonus for the overall winner, which could be mighty important, particularly in the men's race when it is absolutely so close. Because in the World Cup rankings in the men's division, you have Alexander Legkov of Russia, triumphant in Oslo, now 12 points ahead of Petter Northug and 15 ahead of Dario Colonia. And all 3 of those men are involved in today's sprint. To win the bonus, you have to do everything. You can't drop out. But today's race does have points, 50 to the winner, and that's half of what they would normally get. But of course, it's that bonus at the end, and bonuses, not just 200 points, that's for the winner. So let's focus on today's sprint. As you can see, the breeze there in the national flags. And we're going to start with the women's competition. The lap is 1,190 meters. We're in stride and glide classic style here. There's plenty it's a lovely wintry scene in Stockholm. Quite a lot of the time you come here, Mike, and we're coming into springtime and you don't get a lot of snow around the city. But today it is snowy just about everywhere.
And interesting as well, David, Emil was saying that the new powder snow, which has landed on top of the machine-made snow, it has made the tracks very slow. Of course, the machine-made snow takes all the humidity out of the natural snow, and it really does seem quite a more tricky prospect than normally this very easy sprint race comparatively at the end of the season.
And you can see how well they're all wrapped up here because of this wind. The wind chill factor really comes into play. And we're going to start with the women's quarterfinals, the prologue time trial to determine which 30 would come into the quarterfinals. Was won by Anne Kolonen of Finland in a time of 2:45.63, and you're going to see her in the first quarterfinal. In 30th place was Natalia Korosteleva. She was the last to qualify, but some names who didn't make it. Denise Herrmann of Germany, Heidi Weng of Norway, Emma Viken of Sweden, Jessie Diggins of the United States, Keitnes of Norway, Fessel of Germany, Sarasora of Finland, Shekeleva of Russia, Celine Brun-Lee, big sprinting name. I'll stop there because this is the journey for both men and women. I mentioned earlier, it's a simple one. To this high point here, that's only 250 meters from the start. Look at the easy, quite honestly, very easy terrain around the rest of the palace. And then the final is only 150 meters in length, David, up to the high point again at the finish line. So it's without a doubt the easiest course. And the men, a lot of the men earlier in the time trial, or the qualification round, were only double poling, so purely arm power. The women using their legs as well, so putting wax on their classic skis, the men using skating skis. So there you have the qualification times there, and interesting that, of course, in this competition we've got one or two racers who don't necessarily always qualify. The likes of Therese Johaug doesn't necessarily get into the sprint qualification. Here is the men's division and the qualification results. So as you're looking at those who made it through to today's race, let me just reiterate, Alex Harvey, not through. Anders Glersen, not through. Matti Heikkinen, not through. Doesn't mean they're out of the competition overall. It just means that they're not going to score any points and they're not going to get any bonus points. So it's almost like a zero race for them.
It's an interesting layout. The top 30 finishing in 9.63. So many times this season, David, you've got to be within 5.6 to 7.5 seconds. So these conditions, without a doubt, have separated the field. And maybe Saturday's 50 kilometre has also had its little feeling. They have not recovered from Saturday's 50 kilometre yet. Most of the athletes taking part on Saturday.
So Anne Kolonen will, as the fastest qualifier, go in the first of the 5 quarterfinals. If you are tuning in for the first time, then it's the first 2 who qualify by right, and then out of the 5 quarterfinals, it's the 2 women with what we call the best times, the lucky losers or best losers, to join the others in the semi-finals. And you can see everybody wrapped up here. It's not a bad crowd around the palace. And this, like Drammen, is an annual occasion, and great winners in the past. Marit Bjørgen last year, you'll be seeing her there wearing 30. This is Natalia Korosteleva, the last to qualify for Russia. And then wearing 21, Therese Johaug, the heroine of Oslo over the weekend. And 11 in black there, Ida Sargent for the USA. And all of them are going to find this wind really difficult to handle. There's the fastest qualifier, Anne Kolonen. And also in the lineup, Norway's Astrid Jakobsen and Sweden's Magdalena Pajala in white. So the first of 5 quarterfinals. Sit back with Mike Dixon and myself, David Goldstrom, and enjoy the royal sprint around the Swedish Royal Palace in the heart of the Swedish capital. The first of 5 quarterfinals with Anne Kolonen in blue, just 3 away from you, the fastest qualifier in the time trial earlier on today.
Well, they broke free as the gun released them, and Kilonen, we'd expect David to take the lead, and I'm not sure this is the right strategy. And Kilonen has so often this season qualified very fast. That's just when she's been out on her own. As soon as she gets into the tighter, the pack scenario, she has dropped down the ranking, which is a real pity. An example of that was at the World. She qualified in 4th and she dropped all the way down to 27th, so not making it through the first of these heats.
And now you can see on this section of the course the wind is behind them, and then they drop down to a tricky turn once they reach the high point here. So Kilonen it is, wearing 1, Pajala in white for Sweden. Over on the far side for Russia, that's Korosteleva. And then just at the back there in red for Norway, Astrid Jakobsen, who certainly hasn't been the force we've seen her in past seasons. And Therese Johaug, the tiniest of them all, at the back there.
Look at the separation already, David. Therese Johaug on Sunday, the 30 kilometres, she destroyed the field from gun to the line, but she's had no sprint pace on the takeoff. I think she'll slowly pick up her momentum now, but it's a long way through. You've got to get through all this pack of 5.
And now they're into the wind, and you can see that French flag, and you can pick up here. This is where it becomes even harder. And then, of course, they're rising up here, but they're getting set for the big right-hander that takes them towards the finish. And as they go through the different phases, those who qualify, this is going to become much more punishing. And it's Korosteleva on the left there for Russia, who've had a real boost in recent weeks by the performance of particularly their male athletes, and in particular Alexander Legkov, who I thought was absolutely spot on the 50 kilometers last Saturday. But it is Korosteleva now beginning to set up, but this is 150 meters, but it's quite testing, and this will be interesting to see where people come from behind. Pajala now beginning to wind it up, and they're trying to find positions there. Kilonen on the far side, Mike.
And the two Norwegians just almost tripping each other up. Jakobsen having to drop to the back. Therese Johaug, the small figure in red, double poling like mad, but not making a big impression yet, David.
Still 600 meters to go as they swing round here, and now Kilonen comes into running mode. Korosteleva, Pajala, there goes Therese Johaug, but remember it's only the first 2 by right, and Johaug will be wanting desperately to make sure she gets into the semi-finals to get the highest possible points here. Anything she gets here is a real bonus for her as she comes up here, and she's challenging in white. Pajala, it's Kilonen who's clear, and there's Therese double poling Pajala on the far side, but it's the Swede who gets there, and the time is 2:51.6 to note. So Kilonen goes through by right, so does Pajala. That's a good run from the Swede, and Johaug must wait and see. It gives her a running time of 2:52.8.
I must say, David, that Therese Johaug, she looked so very tense throughout all this. There was no point at which she relaxed. The shoulders were tight, the neck barely moved, and just tension all the way. She wasn't really up for this sprint at all, but if it's obviously one of the fastest times, she might get through as lucky loser.
So Anne Kilonen for Finland, the top sprinter in the Sprint World Cup, which is already decided. The Crystal Globe will go to Keegan Randall when the globes are given out on Sunday. 533 points, but most of Keegan's points have come from freestyle skate sprints as opposed to classic sprints. Kilonen, on the other hand, so far only 1 podium, and that was in Davos in the classic sprint at altitude, but can obviously race this, but looking for that elusive victory. Straight on to the lineup for quarterfinal number 2. Anna Hög, representing Sweden. Always good to be racing on your home snow. 17, Marit Björgen, by no means the fastest qualified, 2:52.62 as opposed to Kilonen's 2:45.63. Gajova, canny sprinter from Canada, and Gajova has a chance to get through here, but it's a hot heat because here is Kaspersen Faller for Norway, and Kaspersen Faller, one of the top sprinters of the season.